Over the years, some of Hollywood's most iconic leading men have gone under the knife, emerging with transformations that left fans speechless. Some reappeared looking sharper and more youthful, while others became almost unrecognizable. Behind each change lies a story of ambition, reinvention, and, at times, deep regret. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on the most shocking before and after moments you simply have to see to believe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because you won't want to miss our next jaw-dropping celebrity reveal. Mickey Rourke's transformation, from one of the most breathtaking leading men of the 1980s to his dramatically altered look in later years, remains one of Hollywood's most talked about and openly dissected stories. In his prime, Rourke was the definition of rugged, magnetic charm. With that smoldering bad boy allure, he lit up the screen in classics like Diner, 1982, and 9½ Weeks, 1986, leaving audiences convinced he'd be a timeless heartthrob. But in the early 1990s, he shocked Hollywood by walking away from acting to chase another dream, professional boxing. From 1991 to 1994, he stepped into the ring, but the price was brutal. Broken nose, fractured cheekbones, damaged facial tissue. Each fight left scars that went far beyond the surface. The injuries demanded extensive reconstructive surgery, marking the first irreversible turning point in his appearance. By the late 90s, Rourke sought cosmetic procedures to erase the damage and slow the effects of premature aging. Facelifts, enhancements, he tried it all. But in a twist worthy of a Hollywood tragedy, he later admitted he had chosen the wrong doctor. Instead of restoring his movie star looks, the surgeries pushed his face further from the man fans remembered, leaving him almost unrecognizable. And yet, Rourke didn't fade away. In the 2000s, he made a defiant comeback, not by hiding his altered appearance, but by owning it. His gritty, battle-worn face became a weapon in films like Sin City, 2005, and the Oscar-nominated The Wrestler, 2008. He no longer played the glossy heartthrob, he embodied the survivor, the fighter, the man who had lived through hell and bore the proof on his skin. What sets Rourke apart is his candor in an industry obsessed with perfection and denial. He's spoken openly about every surgery, every mistake, every choice that led him here. As he once said, "My face tells a story." Sometimes it's not a pretty story, but it's an honest one. Mickey Rourke's journey is both a cautionary tale and a testament to resilience, a reminder that life's battles, whether fought under blinding lights or inside a boxing ring, can leave marks no surgeon can truly erase. Sylvester Stallone's transformation, from the raw, unpolished grit of his early Rocky days to the sharper, more sculpted look of recent decades, stands as one of Hollywood's most visible and openly discussed evolutions. What makes his story so compelling is not just the change itself, but his rare honesty about it. Stallone was born with partial facial paralysis on the left side, the result of a severed nerve during birth. It gave him that unmistakable slurred speech and signature crooked smile, traits that would one day become part of his tough guy charm. But in 1975, while filming Death Race 2000, a stunt accident made that asymmetry more pronounced. Reconstructive surgery followed, marking the start of a long relationship with both medical and cosmetic enhancements. By the early 80s, as Rocky and Rambo turned him into an action legend, Stallone began taking a more proactive approach to his appearance. Unlike many male stars who keep quiet, he occasionally spoke openly about it. In a 1992 interview, he confessed with a grin, "I've had plastic surgery. I feel like a car that needs maintenance. Nothing major, just a little tune-up." It was a rare admission in an industry where most enhancements happen behind closed doors. As the years passed, his commitment to staying camera-ready only grew. Entering his 60s, he still looked remarkably youthful while pulling off punishing stunts. In 2008, he told People magazine, "I admit it. Why not? At my age, making action movies, you need to look good. It's part of the job." Critics may debate the results, but even they acknowledge his candor. Today, Stallone's appearance is the product of more than just a surgeon's skill. A relentless fitness regimen, disciplined diet, and meticulous skin care have kept him in fighting shape. Whether he's stepping into the ring as Rocky Balboa one last time or leading the Expendables into battle, his look reflects resilience, self-awareness, and a pragmatic acceptance of what it takes to age in the Hollywood spotlight. Simon Cowell's transformation, from the razor-tongued judge who turned American Idol into must-watch TV, to his now noticeably altered appearance, is one of the most talked-about male cosmetic journeys in entertainment. In the early days of his fame, Cowell seemed immune to Hollywood vanity. With his blunt critiques, signature white t-shirt, and unshakable confidence, he looked like a man far more interested in the work than the mirror. But around 2008, subtle changes began to appear: slightly smoother skin, fewer lines. The whisper started, and unlike most male celebrities, Cowell didn't dodge the question. He admitted to using Botox, casually telling one interviewer, "All the guys I know are doing it now." That candor broke an unspoken rule in Hollywood and opened the door for more men to talk about cosmetic procedures. As he entered his 50s, those treatments became harder to miss. By the mid-2010s, his face bore the unmistakable signs of multiple interventions, and he began experimenting with newer techniques to hold back the years. In 2019, he went public about undergoing a silhouette soft lift, a non-surgical thread lift that uses dissolvable sutures to pull sagging skin upward. Again, he spoke openly, even as most of his peers stayed silent. But by 2022, the conversation had shifted. Fans and the media began pointing out what they felt was too much work. Cowell himself admitted he had gone overboard, confessing that in old photos he barely recognized the man staring back at him. That rare acknowledgement, that even he felt he had crossed the line, sparked deeper debates about the pressure to stay young in an industry where image can be as valuable as talent. Through it all, Cowell's honesty has been as defining as his evolving face. Love it or hate it, his openness has helped normalize conversations about male cosmetic enhancements. His journey is part cautionary tale, part cultural commentary on aging, self-image, and the relentless demands of living in the spotlight. Joe Biden's quiet transformation over the decades is a masterclass in how subtle cosmetic enhancements can help sustain a long and highly visible career, especially in a field where perception is everything. Back in his 30s, as a young senator on the rise, Biden faced a challenge familiar to many men: rapid hair loss. For someone constantly under the scrutiny of cameras, it was no small hurdle. By the late 1980s, he reportedly turned to hair restoration, using the best technology of the era. The results were modest by today's standards, but they restored a more defined hairline and helped keep his public image sharp. Over the years, newer transplant methods gave him a softer, more natural look that blended seamlessly with his evolving style. But Biden didn't stop with his hair. One of his most recognizable features today, his broad, confident smile, also underwent a dramatic upgrade. Through extensive dental work, likely including veneers, his teeth transformed from uneven in color to brilliantly white and camera-ready. That warm, approachable grin became part of his political signature. As he moved into his 60s and 70s, Biden seemed to embrace other understated facial procedures to maintain a fresh, alert appearance. Experts speculate he may have undergone eyelid surgery to remove sagging skin, keeping his gaze bright and engaged, an invaluable asset for high-stakes debates and televised speeches. Crucially, these changes were introduced gradually over time, making them nearly invisible to the casual observer. What's remarkable is that Biden's enhancements have rarely sparked political controversy. Perhaps it's because the results have always looked natural, serving to project vitality rather than vanity. In a world where authenticity is everything, his approach strikes a careful balance, polished enough to inspire confidence, but never so extreme as to distract from his message. From hair restoration to a winning smile and discreet facial touch-ups, Biden's cosmetic evolution reveals a calculated truth. In both politics and entertainment, the most effective upgrades aren't the ones people notice, they're the ones that make them notice you. Tom Cruise's seemingly ageless appearance has fueled whispers and speculation for decades, whispers he's consistently brushed aside. Over more than 40 years in the spotlight, the evolution of his look has been subtle, almost surgical in its precision, giving the impression of a man who knows exactly how to maintain his image without ever tipping his hand. When Cruise first hit the scene, his teeth were far from perfect. slightly misaligned and lacking the sparkle we now associate with that megawatt smile. But by the time Top Gun roared into theaters in 1986, his grin had transformed into a flawless trademark, likely thanks to a mix of orthodontics and veneers. Then there's the ongoing debate over his nose. Side-by-side stills from his early films compared to his recent red carpet appearances hint at a slightly narrower bridge and a more refined tip. Subtle changes that, if the result of rhinoplasty, managed to preserve his rugged masculinity while quietly enhancing symmetry. As the years rolled on, his smooth, vibrant complexion became another talking point. Dermatologists and cosmetic experts, while careful not to claim insider knowledge, have speculated about the possible use of Botox or dermal fillers, the kind of touch-ups that can erase fine lines, restore volume, and keep skin camera-ready even after the punishing physical stunts he insists on performing himself. If true, they've been executed with remarkable restraint, maintaining a natural look while pushing back the visible toll of time. Cruise's case also exposes a fascinating Hollywood double standard. Female stars are grilled about every tweak, every injection, while male action heroes often sidestep the conversation entirely. His steadfast claim that his looks are the result of clean living, discipline, and good genes fits neatly into that pattern. Whether his youthful edge is pure self-care, a little help from modern aesthetics, or both, one thing is undeniable: Tom Cruise has mastered the art of defying Hollywood's aging curve. At 60+, he remains a believable action lead, still pulling off the impossible, on screen and, perhaps, in the mirror. John Travolta. Few Hollywood stars have reinvented themselves as many times, and as visibly, as Travolta. His first brush with cosmetic intervention wasn't about vanity, but survival in an image-driven business. After the explosive success of Saturday Night Fever in 1977, studio insiders reportedly grew concerned. His hairline was retreating fast. Hair restoration was still in its infancy, but around 1980, Travolta is believed to have undergone one of the early hair transplant procedures. The results, though modest by today's standards, kept his leading man image alive throughout the following decade. The next chapter of Travolta's transformation began in the early 2000s, as he entered his 50s. Compare him in Swordfish 2001 to Hairspray 2007, and you'll notice it: a thicker, more defined hairline, sharper facial contours, and a jawline that seemed to have been chiseled anew. Cosmetic experts have speculated about facelifts or advanced skin-tightening treatments, subtle enough to preserve his iconic look, yet dramatic enough to project vitality on screen. By the 2010s, his style became even more polished. His hairline appeared boosted by next-generation hair systems, high-quality wigs, hairpieces, and even cosmetic tattooing, to create the illusion of perfect density. On camera, they were virtually undetectable, allowing him to maintain a flawless, camera-ready appearance no matter what nature had in mind. And then came the twist no one saw coming. In recent years, Travolta abandoned the elaborate disguises entirely, embracing a completely shaved head. It wasn't a retreat, it was a statement. No longer hiding behind hair systems, he stepped into the spotlight with unapologetic confidence, reframing his image not as a man clinging to youth, but as one in control of his narrative. Travolta's journey mirrors the evolution of both cosmetic technology and Hollywood's shifting expectations for its leading men. In the 80s and 90s, enhancements were whispered about, never confirmed. By the 2000s, subtle surgeries, non-invasive treatments, and cutting-edge hair solutions allowed stars like him to quietly rewrite their looks. And now, in the 2020s, Travolta proves that reinvention isn't just about defying time, it's about owning it. Full head of hair or clean-shaven, one truth remains: John Travolta is a master of self-presentation, always ready for his next act. John Wayne. At first glance, you'd think he was the last man in Hollywood who'd ever touch a cosmetic procedure. The very picture of rugged masculinity, he was the cowboy who never flinched, the lawman who never backed down, the screen's unshakable symbol of grit. But behind the camera, Wayne was making quiet, calculated moves to keep that image alive, moves that even his most devoted fans never suspected. It began in 1948. His hairline was starting to recede, threatening to soften that commanding presence audiences loved. Hair transplantation was still in its primitive days, but Wayne reportedly became one of the earliest Hollywood stars to try it. The aim wasn't a flashy, styled look. It was to bring back that strong, natural hairline that matched his no-nonsense cowboy persona. By the early 60s, time was etching its mark around his eyes. Deep lines, drooping lids, not only aging his face but, according to accounts, affecting his vision. In 1964, he is believed to have undergone a discreet blepharoplasty eyelid surgery to correct it. The results were subtle, keeping his trademark squint intact while removing just enough to sharpen his gaze without erasing the hard-earned lines of a man who'd stared down outlaws and desert suns. Then came the late 60s, and with them, the pull of gravity on his jawline and neck. Biographers say he opted for a careful lower face lift and neck lift, not to look younger than his years, but to keep from looking older than the tough-as-leather characters he played. The work was restrained, preserving his weathered charm while tightening just enough to keep the legend camera ready. These weren't vanity projects. In mid-century Hollywood, male stars almost never admitted to cosmetic enhancements, especially not icons whose careers were built on an unshakable masculine image. But Wayne's quiet embrace of these procedures set a precedent. He proved that even the toughest men could take control of the aging process without betraying their authenticity. By blending early medical techniques with a shrewd sense of his own brand, John Wayne did more than maintain his looks. He rewrote the rules for male stardom in Hollywood. He showed that a man could grow older, keep his edge, and remain larger than life long after the final reel. Burt Reynolds wasn't just a movie star, he was the embodiment of 1970s masculine charm. With a sculpted, athletic frame and that sly, knowing smile, he became one of Hollywood's most bankable leading men. But behind the effortless swagger was a truth few realized. Sometimes, even Burt's golden image was shaped by a surgeon's hand. His first major trip under the knife in the mid-1970s had nothing to do with vanity. It was survival. While filming a stunt gone wrong, Reynolds shattered his jaw, forcing him into reconstructive surgery that subtly reshaped his face, and, by some accounts, left him quietly self-conscious about his looks. As the years rolled on and he hit his 40s, the unrelenting pressures of fame began to collide with the realities of aging, most notably, thinning hair. In 1978, determined to preserve his signature mane, he underwent one of the era's early and notoriously painful hair transplants, leaving behind scars hidden beneath the thick dark locks fans adored. By the 1980s, Burt was no longer just repairing damage, he was enhancing. Photographs and whispers from the time suggest at least one facelift, likely to preserve that razor-sharp jawline audiences knew from Smokey and the Bandit and the Cannonball Run. In an age when male stars were expected to age naturally, while women were criticized for every line and wrinkle, Reynolds quietly broke the mold, helping to normalize cosmetic procedures for men long before it was talked about openly. What truly set him apart, though, was his candor. In his 2015 memoir, he spoke with humor and a touch of regret, admitting that many of his elective surgeries had been unnecessary, born of insecurity rather than true need. That honesty peeled back the Hollywood veneer, revealing not just the icon, but the man. Burt Reynolds' story isn't just about vanity, it's about resilience, vulnerability, and the unspoken toll of living under the constant gaze of fame. He showed the world that even Hollywood's most confident men can feel the weight of time, and that the line between legend and human is far thinner than it seems. Carrot Top. Scott Thompson's metamorphosis from the wiry, wild-haired prankster of the 1990s to the almost unrecognizable figure of the 2000s remains one of Hollywood's most talked-about male celebrity transformations. In his early days, Carrot Top was instantly iconic. A lanky frame, a chaotic mop of fiery red curls, and a brand of self-deprecating humor that embraced every bit of his unconventional look. But somewhere around the turn of the millennium, audiences began to notice something had changed. His once slender build ballooned into a chiseled, muscle-bound physique, igniting rumors of extreme workout regimens, and whispers about performance-enhancing shortcuts. The shift was so dramatic that, for some fans, his body became the headline, eclipsing the comedy that had made him famous. By the mid-2000s, The transformation went beyond his frame. His face appeared sharper, tighter, almost sculpted by an artist with a bold hand. Plastic surgery insiders speculated about a laundry list of procedures: brow lifts, eyelid tweaks, blepharoplasty, even cheek implants that gave him dramatically fuller, more angular cheekbones. The carrot top who once leaned into his playful, boyish oddity now looked like a man who had stepped straight out of a surreal Hollywood fever dream. And yet, true to form, he refused to take it too seriously. In interviews, he batted away surgery rumors with a wink and a punchline, blaming his new look on bad makeup artists rather than scalpels and syringes. The humor acted as armor, a way to keep the conversation on his terms, in his comedic arena, rather than letting it drift into tabloid fodder. In many ways, Carrot Top's transformation flipped the script on what audiences expected from male comedians. Historically, they weren't pressured to look like leading men. But by dramatically altering his physique and face, Carrot Top blurred the line between personal reinvention, performance art, and the relentless Hollywood obsession with image. Love it or hate it, he forced the world to ask a question it rarely asks about funny men. What should a male entertainer look like? And who gets to decide? Kenny Rogers was one of the rare male stars in Hollywood who didn't shy away from talking about his plastic surgery journey. The country music legend, revered for his warm, gravel-smooth voice and approachable charm, began making cosmetic changes in the early 1990s, when he was in his 50s. His first procedure targeted drooping eyelids, an issue that not only hindered his vision but also left him looking tired on stage and on camera. What set Rogers apart from many of his peers was his refreshing honesty. In a 2006 interview, he admitted without hesitation, "I've had a lot of cosmetic surgery." At first, the changes were subtle, flattering even. They preserved the warmth in his smile, the easygoing friendliness that had become his trademark, while helping him look more alert and energized during concerts and TV appearances. But by the late 2000s, Rogers went further, undergoing deep facelifts and additional work around his eyes. This time, the results stirred controversy. His once expressive features now appeared tighter, overly smooth, and almost frozen, robbing him of the natural character fans had cherished for decades. By 2012, he openly voiced his regret, saying the surgeries made him look like I was surprised all the time. It was a rare, vulnerable admission from a male celebrity, proof that even icons aren't immune to the pressures of maintaining a certain image. In an industry that often scrutinizes women far more harshly, Rogers' story revealed a quieter truth. Men, too, face unspoken expectations to defy time, even as society claims to celebrate aging gracefully. Through his candor, Kenny Rogers helped shift the conversation around male cosmetic enhancements. He showed that while surgery can boost confidence, it also carries risks, and the real art lies in striking a delicate balance between refreshing one's appearance and preserving the very soul of what makes a person unforgettable. In the end, Rogers' legacy wasn't just about music, it was about authenticity. By sharing not only his choices but also his regrets, he broke a cultural taboo, giving other men permission to speak openly about their insecurities and decisions. And in doing so, he reminded the world that honesty, not flawless skin, is what truly lasts. Al Pacino's piercing gaze and unmistakable features redefined what it meant to be a leading man in the 1970s. He wasn't the polished matinee idol of the past. He was raw, electric, and utterly authentic. His slightly wild hair, deep-set eyes, and expressive lines became part of his signature, a face that told 1,000 stories before he even spoke. For the first 20 years of his career, Pacino's look seemed untouchable, frozen in that intense, brooding brilliance. But by the early 1990s, subtle changes began to emerge. His hairline appeared a touch fuller, whispers of early hair restoration, a quiet nod to the growing pressure on male stars to fight time's relentless march. Nothing drastic, just careful adjustments that preserved his image while hinting at Hollywood's unspoken rules about aging. Around the year 2000, as Pacino entered his 60s, the transformations became more noticeable. His jawline and neck carried a new firmness, consistent with the more understated facelift techniques of the era, designed not to reinvent his face, but to gently erase the shadows of sagging skin while keeping every ounce of the rugged charm audiences adored. By the 2010s, now in his 70s, Pacino's approach seemed more refined, even strategic. His eyes looked more alert, the result, perhaps, of a subtle blepharoplasty to remove excess skin. His hairline remained thick and full, the likely product of ongoing restoration work, quietly ensuring he still looked the part of a Hollywood legend. These changes were never about vanity. They were layered, deliberate, and carefully measured to protect the very essence of Pacino's screen presence. In an industry that praises character in men yet quietly rewards youth, Pacino walked a fine line, extending his career without sacrificing authenticity. He's never confirmed a single procedure. He didn't have to. His evolving face tells its own story, a masterclass in how a male star can embrace selective enhancements without losing the soul that made him unforgettable. Like his greatest roles, every change was intentional, every choice in service of the bigger picture, staying true to the part, both on screen and in life. Thank you for watching Exposed Hollywood. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next story. See you in the next one.